Welcome to the Upshot, Ultra Disc Golf's podcast about the latest in the disc golf world. I'm Charlie Eisenhood, the editor. Joining me is Josh Mansfield on this Thursday, January 9th. And the news is here, Josh.
Denver
Isaac
Broncos
Robinson
made the playoffs.
God. I have to admit, Josh, I bet on the Bills minus 7.5.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you for that.
I got that. That was the opening number. I was on it.
Yeah. Yep. The other news that people came here for.
Yeah. Isaac Robinson to Latitude 64. So 3-year deal. There's a lot of speculation about where he's going to land. Was it going to be Discmania? No. Ultimately, it's House of Discs. And I got to say, I think it makes sense as a fit. Mm-hmm. Given that they have Kristen, given that like his style seems to fit better there. And let's be honest, Latitude needs a high-profile MPO player and has for some time.
Yeah. I also think that Isaac he's a little bit more like kind of reserved. Still, I mean, a great person, but I don't think he would do well as a pairing next to another high-profile player, right? Isaac and Calvin together, Isaac and Gannon together, Isaac and Macbeth together. Like, name your place. I just don't think Isaac really gets the opportunity to shine nearly as well as he's going to at Latitude 64. And that pairing with Kristen, I think, is excellent. It really does feel like a good fit. And when that news first broke, or for like the rumors first started circulating, it was funny because I was like, dang, that's perfect. It's also perfect enough that it's probably true. And it was a great fit. It wasn't splashy. It wasn't crazy. It just made a lot of sense for both parties. So, yeah.
I mean, right now, the highest profile MPO player, right, from last season on Latitude was Kevin Kiefer from the U.S. specifically, right. I mean.
Who is not touring?
Did he? Oh, he's dropping off. That's right.
Him and Stacy are having a baby.
Wow, crazy.
And they both announced that they're not touring.
That's right.
Yes.
But I mean, obviously they have some European names: Albert Tom, Linus Carlson, Jakob Semmerod, Lowry Lettinen. I don't know if the status of all those guys and if they're coming back this year. I think Latitude is announcing their larger grand team soon, or maybe it's coming out now. This is being recorded slightly before Thursday, so
it may be out right now.
It may be. So if I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about, that's why. But this lands them a big U.S. name. I mean, and Kristen Lott. I'm going to try to say the last name a lot, so I get a lot. A lat.
It's lat. It's lat.
It's lat. It's closer to cat.
Yes.
They've been needing an opportunity to grow more in the U.S. And this, to me, signals that they're going to make a real effort at that.
It also, House of Discs, it's been weird because House of Discs is supposed to be, Latitude is supposed to be like the center pole of House of Discs, right? It's the manufacturing arm. It's been the manufacturing arm for all of these companies for a while. That's always felt kind of in terms of media. I think Latitude has always done more in terms of YouTube presence and content. It's always felt like the center of the House of Discs in terms of its power and manufacturing and all that. And it's always been weird that they've never been the ones that had the top player. And so it makes more sense as well to me that Latitude is the one that houses the star player, the star players in Kristen and Isaac. That makes sense. That's how it should be. Yeah.
So much to discuss, and we're going to talk about it with the man himself. Isaac Robinson is going to join us next, right here on the Upshot. Don't go anywhere. The Upshot is presented by Pound Disc Golf, makers of the best bags in the sport. You can still get $50 off Deluxe Octothorpes while supplies last. A couple of colorways already sold out, but the Cryptic Typhon and Red, as well as the very nice Clay and Marine, still available, and you're still saving $50 off. So grab one today before they sell out at pounddiscgolf.com. Or if you're like me, grab a Rufus. It's even a little bit cheaper, but not quite so big of a bag. It's just the perfect size if you like a smaller bag. PoundDiscGolf.com has all the options. Check them out today. Joining us now on the Upshot is back-to-back world champion Isaac Robinson. And if you're watching on YouTube, not much more needs to be said. Latitude 64 is the landing spot. This has been, of course, the big conversation this offseason. Where will Isaac end up? And Isaac, first of all, congratulations. You have certainly been stoking the flames with a lot of misdirection, going this way, going that way. But I don't know that I saw a Latitude 64 post, so maybe that was the trick.
That was the point. Yes. Yes.
How there's so much to get into. How was this process of finding a new sponsor? I mean, we've known for like 2 years that you were likely to leave Prodigy and find a new sponsor. So what has it been like? Has this been a couple months thing? Has this been over the course of, even before this offseason? Were you talking to folks?
Yeah. So this process basically started towards the end of October. So towards kind of as the Pro Tour finale was wrapping up, was when I could really start talking to companies. I'd heard rumors that people were interested in sponsoring for 2025 and beyond, but I wasn't able to sit down and have those conversations until pretty much November. So I work with Blake Schaefer, and he kind of he's like my agent. He handles all the conversations, and he's just been so great to have because he can talk to everybody. He knows all the CEOs of all the companies and all the team managers and stuff. And so it was just huge having him kind of negotiate and just kind of update me as things went on. And so we talked to pretty much every company. And then of course, Latitude was the one we decided to go with. And I'm super excited.
I'm sure you're at least tangentially aware of deals that other players have gotten, especially those who have signed over the past couple of years. Going into this offseason, we've been talking about kind of the slowdown. We knew that the industry is kind of regressing back to and self-correcting from the COVID high. What were your expectations of what you wanted out of a deal, especially, as a two-time world champion? And do you feel like this deal met those expectations?
Yeah, this deal is definitely more than I expected. With the industry kind of taking a little bit of a downturn, we kind of had Blake and I went to companies and we had kind of a minimum that we wanted to meet. And so if the company wasn't able or wasn't interested in meeting that minimum, then we just kind of moved on and we were like, all right, well, yeah, that's that. But Latitude actually, for me, actually exceeded what I thought the contract would be. And so I'm very, very happy with where I'm at. And I think it's it's not quite as high as some of the other people's, but it is perfect for what I need. And it's definitely more than I thought I would get.
What was that minimum number?
Tell us the minimum.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't tell us
that's not the contract.
Yeah. So the minimum I was looking for was right around 175, 200 a year. And so
got it. All right. Yep. I assume you're not going to be willing to talk about what you are getting from Latitude.
I don't know if I can. I would be willing, but I didn't get the green light from them. So
got it. All right. So when you kind of think about like how your career goes from here, I a little bit of my own opinion here, right? We saw your brother Ezra signing with Discraft. They put out some videos and it felt like, oh, finally, like promotion. It sometimes feels like Prodigy just like didn't do the basic bare minimum of like promoting its players beyond like saying, here's a disc. And so I'm sure you've been thinking about that too. Like
Mhm.
what is in store for how
Yeah.
you're going to approach this sort of like new phase
Mhm.
of like promoting yourself, your brand, however you want to look at that.
Yeah, I'm viewing it as just a whole new, like a blank slate opportunity. Um, Prodigy wasn't the best with promoting. They never had a consistent social media team. They have almost no YouTube presence. It's hard to build brand awareness and like people don't fall in love with the players necessarily because you're not promoting. So I'm treating this as a new opportunity. Latitude has a huge YouTube presence. We got to hang out with Jonathan, and he is just so cool. And so we got to film some stuff over there. I'm putting some new focus into my own marketing, my own promotion of myself and trying to get more, YouTube videos and reels and posts consistently out on social media. And I think having a company that really is behind the player and really promoting the player will go a long way. Um, I'm excited. I'm excited for a company that uh, pushes disc sales and actually sells discs. Um, it's one of the things I feel like um, Prodigy. I would get comments or messages all the time. They'd be like, "I want to buy your disc. I want to support you in some way, but if you weren't with Prodigy, that would be that'd be great." And so I'm excited to see as a player, like if I can move the needle a little bit, because that's something I haven't had the opportunity to kind of do in the past. Um, and so, yeah, it's just a whole new world of opportunities open to me, and I'm excited to really just see where that takes me.
Um, so you mentioned two things here: the promotion of the player, and then getting kind of some comments from people about wishing that you weren't on Team Prodigy. It's felt like, so two questions, two parts to this question. As Charlie kind of alluded to, it's felt like for the past 2 years that this change was going to be inevitable.
Mhm.
Number one, did Prodigy make an offer slash did you consider sticking with Prodigy in this offseason? And number two, was there any other motivating factor that made you just say, you know what, I really do want this kind of blank slate going
Mhm.
into 2025?
Yeah, the blank slate opportunity really was one of the main factors in deciding to leave Prodigy. Um, they did give me an offer. It was lower than what we wanted to go with. And then you kind of pair that with the new opportunities ahead of you. It just wasn't worth taking. Um, and all that being said, Prodigy and I left on great terms. I know they have a lot of kind of bad press in the past, and you know that all of that gets thrown around a lot. But they fulfilled every bit of the contract to me. We had a great relationship. I'm super excited for Will. I hope that he takes the company to new places. And so we left on really good terms, and they just kind of let me go and do my own thing. Say congratulations. Hope you do great. Um, but it really was at the end of the day, the offer from Latitude was more money, and then also new opportunities. Which the new opportunities was definitely the kind of the main factor in looking for a new sponsor this year.
What are those? Are we talking about a signature disc,
Mhm.
your own molds kind of thing? Like what in your mind are those opportunities?
Yeah, I think opportunities there. I'm going to be coming out with several either signature series or custom molds or whatever. We haven't really talked specifics on how that's going to look, but there will be similar to Kristen's line of discs. She has the Grace and the Pure and all of that, and so I will have something along those lines that is very similar. And then also just I think the new opportunities comes in when you have a company that people like. People really enjoy supporting Latitude and throwing Latitude, and from what I can tell, just a well-liked brand. Also, their presence in Europe is a big thing. Since they are a Swedish company, it's exciting to kind of have a new fan base available to you.
That actually pairs great with my next question. I was wondering if there were any discussions about what your obligations in Europe might look like. Are you committing to the entire European swing, or what is involved in terms of that opportunity to connect to a European market where Latitude is most certainly more heavily favored than it is here in the United States?
Yeah. So they want me at pretty much every Latitude sponsored event. So on the Pro Tour at least. So that's looking like, I know Portland was in the past sponsored by Latitude. I think they have a couple overseas as well in the DGPT Europe swing. So I'll be spending 6 weeks in Europe this year, playing 5 tournaments, and yeah, so it'll be a lot of tournaments in Europe this year. And then of course they're going to be, I think once a year they want me to fly out there to do promotion and filming, and so I'll be spending a lot of time in Europe.
I've heard you have some European fans, like maybe more than people would expect. Have you gotten that sense or heard that from many of the folks at Latitude?
I really don't know. Yeah, I hadn't heard that, but that would be great. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I was told by somebody in the Latitude universe that you have a good fit personality wise for like the Nordic European sensibilities.
There you go.
Well, listen, you three-peat at Worlds and do it in Europe. I think you're going to get a lot of European.
Then we'll talk.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Now we're cooking.
What discs are you allowed to throw? Because I feel like this has been an evolving question with the House of Discs changeover.
Yep.
And I've seen a couple rumors that they're going to let everybody throw any House of Discs brand, but I've also heard that it's just Trilogy for Latitude throwers. So I'm curious at least what you've been told.
Yeah. So from what I'm told and what's outlined in my contract, I have to throw Latitude. I did talk to, Seth Finley and the people in charge of that. And they did say that there is provision that I can throw the Trilogy lineup, but outside of that, there's really no, I can't throw Discmania, I can't throw Castplast.
Got it.
But I can throw in the Trilogy brands.
Were you disappointed you don't get to throw a Glacier?
A little bit, but no, I think Latitude has some great mids. The Trust is amazing, and so I'm getting along just fine there.
Yeah, what are you liking so far? And like, how is it different from what you've been throwing at Prodigy?
Yeah, so when they sent me a box of discs, there's stuff in there that Prodigy just doesn't have. Like an overstable 7-speed. I've never had the opportunity to throw that. And so right now, the Glory is one of my go-to discs. It's kind of this straight to overstable fairway. And I've been able to throw shot shapes that just weren't available to me with Prodigy. They just didn't have a slot for that. So the Glory, the Trust, the Rive, a lot of stuff in the Royal lineup just made it straight into the bag.
What are you going to be putting with?
It's a good question. They have they just released the Peak in the mystery boxes, and once they get a plastic blend of that, a plastic blend that I like in that putter, I'll be using the Peak.
Okay.
It kind of worked out because it's their new putter, and it's an overstable beaded putter, which is what I'm used to. So it works out great.
Is it the squared kind of blunt nose, flat top like the PA3s?
Very similar, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's funny because like when you make a bag change, I feel like that's the one thing that everybody wants is just like the same putter that they've been putting with for however many years. So it's like if the company that you go to doesn't have that putter, it's like new signature putter.
The same thing. Yes. I wonder, Gannon had a lot to do with that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long is this deal?
It's 3 years.
Got it.
Yep.
we are recording this, and like details are not fully announced at the time that we're recording this. So like some of this may be like, hello, it's already out there.
Yeah.
Are there any details getting released that we don't know about yet that we will know about on Thursday? Let's start with that.
I don't think so. I think it'll be mostly the basics.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I kind of want to circle back because I'm curious to hear, like you said that your minimum was around, 200K per year. If you had done this process a year ago or 2 years ago, let's say a year ago, because you'd won Worlds, and like, do you think you would have asked for more? Was that like I'm being realistic about the market number? Because, from a success standpoint, like there are players who don't have any world championships who are making $1 million a year. And so, that's not obviously just a simple, you win Worlds, you deserve huge money. But like, what defined that number for you? Do you feel like it was like, I would have asked for more if I could have, but this is where the market is right now?
Yeah, I think at a certain point, like you can't be unrealistic with your request to companies because they're just going to brush you off and be like, you're crazy, get out of here. I think a couple years ago, obviously, I think the market, from what I've heard, was in a better place. But at the same time, like I think winning Worlds one time, like you said, doesn't guarantee you this huge paycheck. The fact that I did it twice really kind of, I think, boosted this deal a lot. Because if you look on paper, like my 2024 season wasn't spectacular. There were some high points, and I almost won a couple, but winning that second world title really kind of pushed, I think, my contract to the next level. And that if I hadn't gotten that world championships, I would be, looking at probably $50,000 to $100,000 less in my contract.
Listen, twice or it's luck, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So sorry. First question: what the $175,000 $200,000 number you went in with, is that guaranteed money or was that total compensation that you were hoping for?
So that was guaranteed. That we were looking to get that guaranteed kind of monthly payment, and then royalties if we could get on top of that. That was what we were going for.
Okay, and then complete 180 in terms of question. I'm curious, what bag are you going to use? A Latitude bag?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. That's part of the contract.
Yes, it is. And I think we're coming out with, kind of like some custom bags that with colorways that I work with them and pick out and stuff. Okay. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Are you, at least at this point, like, do you know about things that you might be doing with Kristen? Is there going to be some like promotion of multiple world champions together on the same Latitude team type stuff? Or has that not really been discussed?
If I get a Porsche, I'll be driving that around.
Yeah, you got to just ride those Kristen coattails.
I know. Yeah, I'm sure we'll do some world champion collaborations, some content with her. Really, yeah, I think they're going to really push kind of this two-time narrative and try to build a brand kind of on that. So look for probably a lot of content with her, a lot of promotion with her and stuff like that.
When you're looking forward to this season and kind of, where things are at, what are you happy with the schedule? Do you wish there were some things that were different? Just general outlook on 2025 kind of professional scene.
Yeah, there's a lot of break weeks. So we're seeing a lot of, a lot of time off, which I think is going to be kind of cool. There's only, I think there's only 12 DGPT events in the States, which seems like barely anything. But then, of course, we have Champions Cup and we have some other PDGA events. But overall, I really do like the schedule. It allows me to take time off. I think people are going to get less burnt out over the year. In 2022, 2023, it was like every weekend you were playing an event and you just by the end of the season, you were just wiped out. So I think they're thinking longevity of the players and then also like making the schedule very accessible for a lot of people, and I like that a lot.
Following up with that, do you plan on playing in the Go Throw Tour events?
Yeah, so I will play several of them when it makes sense, like when they're on the way.
Right.
And they did a really good job of spacing them out to where you have an off week and you're in the area, so you might as well. And I think the fact that they are unsanctioned is actually really cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah, that might be. I don't know if that's been released publicly yet. So let's talk about that because I'd heard that too. They're not going to be PDGA sanctioned. There's like a little bit of drama there, I guess. Why is that appealing to you? Is it because it won't count towards your rating?
Yeah, I think a lot of it, player rating doesn't really matter. People don't really look at that a whole lot. But I think the fact that you can just go play an event and not even worry about, oh, if I play bad, my rating is going to tank. Because actually, a lot of contracts, I don't know, my Prodigy contract had stipulations about my rating. And so for some people, I think it does matter. And so not having that as a worry is really cool.
Was it like you were getting bonuses if you went above a certain rating, or you were getting penalized for going below a certain rating? Or both?
Pretty significant rating bonuses.
Got it.
Yep.
Interesting. Does your new contract have that too?
No. And I think contracts are moving away from that. I think ratings are kind of outdated. And so a lot of the older contracts might have it in there, but I don't think any of the new ones do.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so on this Go Throw Tour point, what have you heard about this from like they've told the players stuff. So they're going to be unsanctioned. Obviously, they're A tiers and these sort of like off. I shouldn't call them A tiers, right? They're not A tiers.
They're not A tiers, Charlie.
I think it remains to be seen how that ends up sorting itself out. But let's say that's what ends up happening. What are they telling you about prize money and like making it worth your while?
Yeah, so there's added cash, obviously. I think this is all public knowledge. I think you can just go on their sign up page, but I think the first one has like 7,500 added cash, which isn't, the most significant payout ever. But it is, for an off week, it's great. You can go play, you can win maybe a couple grand, and that's lodging and food for the next couple weeks. There's going to be skins matches, there's going to be feature cards, and so I think it's a good opportunity for people who maybe might not get a feature card on the DGPT to go over here and be on a skins match and be on a feature card round one of this Go Throw event. And so I think it'll promote a lot of players. You might not get the top guys playing the events, but I think you'll get a lot more player visibility kind of down the roster, which is cool.
What's the attendance going to be like? Is it just going to feel like another DGPT event? Obviously, you probably don't know, every pro's decision on this, but for the ones that like you've talked about that make the most sense that are on the way, what do you expect we can see from attendance from the pros?
Yeah, I know I'll play the ones that I can. I know that the rest of the guys, Alden, Gavin, Gannon, Ezra, they're all going to be playing pretty much the same ones I'm playing. And that is about as far as my knowledge goes. So they'll be there. I'll be there. I have to imagine a couple others.
The European swing is obviously going to be very interesting this year. We got a pair of majors. As you kind of look ahead to Worlds and trying to make it 3X, which would be an amazing achievement. I haven't actually looked it up last time somebody won 3 in a row. You played well at European Open last year, but obviously Gannon and Ricky were just like in their own stratosphere that week.
Yeah.
What is it going to take for you to go win out there in Finland?
Yeah, I think it's going to take a lot of practice. I love that. I think I'm playing 2 or 3 events over there before Worlds, which is great. That way you get nice and used to the time switch. You're kind of loose from the airplane ride, and so I'm gonna play those courses multiple times. I mean, probably I would love to get 4 or 5 practice rounds on each, kind of leading up to it. I think those courses are wonderful. The Monster, I think, is my favorite course in the world now. So Tom Portet Disc Golf Center, just an amazing piece of property. And I think, Worlds is kind of this neat. They always pick like a wooded course, and they pick like the more open bomber OB tight OB course. And I think that plays really well into my game. And if you kind of look back over the past 2 years, that's been the theme. And so I think in Europe it's the same thing. It's the same type of courses, and I think I play really well at those types.
I think it was 2 years ago after your first Worlds, because that Worlds put you in such close contention for Player of the Year. That's what elevated you into the Player of the Year mix. So
Yeah.
I think it was 2 years ago that when we asked you what is the value of a World Championship, you said it was 10 DGPT events. Do you stand by that? Or is that number changed at all?
Yeah, I think that's accurate. I think if you were to ask Gannon this year, because he had a phenomenal year, just ask him which tournaments he would trade, I would be very interested to hear his answer. But I think, as someone who's won a lot of DGPT events, he and Ricky both would probably answer the same way. I would guess.
We've asked Ricky this question, and he does not answer publicly the same way. At least last we've talked to him. We talked to him, he said he prefers consistency.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole nother. That's the other side of the coin, and he is the master of consistency. So
yes, he is. Yes, he is. We might reach out to Gannon and ask him if he.
Next time we have him on, we'll ask him.
Yeah, I would be interested to know his answer.
I'm curious.
But I know Worlds means everything to Gannon, so
I think he's got the rest of them. So
I know it's the only one he's missing.
So you had a slow start last year, 2024.
Yep.
I'm sure that you obviously have extra motivation not to have a slow start this year. Why do you think you started slow in 2024, and what are you doing to try to correct that this time?
Yeah, I think after 2023, I just really took my season for granted. I was coming off, 2 majors that year, a world championship, and I was like, oh, disc golf is easy. Disc golf is, I'll just coast into 2024. And really that just didn't work out too well. I wasn't putting in the practice like I should have. And I didn't have a good facility to practice because I was just at home, staying at my parents' house for the off season. And so they don't have a lot of land or places to throw. And so I just really didn't take training very seriously. And this year, I'm in a different place, got my own place. I'm close to Alden. And so he has a training facility. We got indoor baskets and stuff. So I'll have a lot more access to practice and prepare. And I think that's going to be huge coming into the start of the season.
We always discuss, but it's always hard to judge. What do you think that the impact of a bag switch is going to have on your season? To what extent do you give credence to the I guess the public belief that it's very difficult to switch bags, right, and getting used to a bunch of new discs? Especially, I mean, how many years were you with Prodigy?
Well, 7 total. I think 7 or 8 total. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you're coming off, and I'm sure you were throwing some Prodigy discs before that. So coming off of a decade of throwing the exact same company, and now you're switching discs. What's that adjustment going to be like?
Yeah, it's definitely been interesting. One example I've told people is I carried 1 mid-range in my bag with Prodigy, and it was that yellow M1, and I used it for every shot. But now with Latitude, they don't have a mid-range that fills everything, and so I might have to bag 2 or 3, and to kind of get that same shot shape that I can do, just with different discs. And so it's been learning how the discs fly and then what slots they're going to replace in my bag. And I've been pleasantly surprised. There's been some spots where I'm like, man, I really wish I had a disc like that. But then some where it's like, oh, wow, this is a new disc and I can do really cool things with it. And so it's been fun. I've been, ever since the Pro Tour finale, I put my Prodigy, I put my entire bag in the closet and was just throwing whatever I wanted. and then Latitude sent me a box early November, and so I've been throwing them for almost 3 months now. Um, so I'm feeling really good.
The archer, not the arrow. It'd be a great
Hmm.
tagline for you.
I
Although I
know.
don't know if Latitude would be so into it. Like, discs don't matter.
Yeah, well, that's true.
um, so does this, you you had all these people together on Prodigy, all your friends. Now you guys have sort of scattered off of Prodigy. Prodigy has very few remaining high level sponsored pros at this point.
Mhm.
Does this change the dynamic at all for you guys, or is it just like sort of like this is business is just it doesn't really matter? You guys are still just friends.
Yeah, I think it changes the dynamic just a little. Um, with Prodigy, we could compare kind of notes off of each other. We could be like, "Oh, what are you throwing? What's this? What's the good run of the D1? Where can I get them?" And bounce ideas off of each other like that. With other people, with Ezra being on Discraft and the other guys being on Discmania, um, it changes the dynamic a little bit. But I mean, we're still friends. We're still hanging out with each other, and I think being on House of Discs is cool because I feel like I'm part of a team again, kind of. Where Prodigy, it was you had this close knit group of people, and then everybody kind of left, and then it was like, well, now you're kind of the outcast. You're kind of by yourself on this team. Um, but being part of a big team again is really cool. And so seeing the success of House of Discs, Ezra on Discraft, he's now the outcast. So he can go do whatever he's doing. But yeah, I think it's cool being part of a team again.
I actually wanted to ask a little bit about Ezra.
Hmm.
He really upped his game as well in
Yeah.
this last season, and
Hmm.
I don't think we've hit a ceiling for him either.
Hmm.
Uh, was there any discussion between you guys about trying to stick to the same team? I always felt like there was so much missed opportunity in terms of like
Hmm.
two top like high powered brothers that come
Yeah.
and are on the same team. Was that a discussion at all, or did you guys want to be on separate teams to kind of get to branch off a little bit and be independent of each other?
Yeah, I think we both wanted to be independent. I think we're both just for a company to have both of us. I wish we had seen more like collaboration and more. I wish Ezra got to have his own signature disc. I would have loved to see kind of what he designed and what he wanted to make, and then we could both promote that. And those opportunities are gone at this point for now. But I think in the long run, it's good for both of us to kind of build our brand separately. And I've seen a lot of people say like, "Oh, I wish they would do a brother collaboration," or "I wish they would both go to the same place." But I think at the end of the day, it's good for both of us to be our distinct kind of personalities and our own brand. And so I think he's gonna love. I think he fits in great with this craft. I think he's gonna love it over there. And then I'm very happy to be where I am. So at the end of the day, it worked out well for both of us.
You gonna wear Peach Pirate gear?
If I can get a logo of his on a Latitude shirt, I'd wear it, but people might have issues with that.
um, all right. So new season, we've got all the changes landing. You're one of the last big announcements of the year, although well, I say that, but there's more in the works.
There is.
Um, uh, like what are you thinking about for 2025? Like,
Mhm.
is this a year where you feel like, hey, I'm trying to chase like a top 3 spot on tour, or
Mhm.
you know, like how are you? Because you've already won the biggest tournament, so like you can't just say, "Oh, my goal is to win worlds." Where is your head at in
Mhm.
terms of your expectations for this season?
I think going back to the consistency conversation, I would just love to see a consistent chance to win throughout the season. I would love to be. Last year felt honestly, it felt kind of like a bad year, except for Worlds. And I think I finished fifth I think it was fifth or sixth in the point standings. And I want to be in that top three pretty consistently. So I want to see. I've only won one Elite Series, so I would love to take more of those down. Um, USDGC is obviously high on the bucket list, and I just want to be consistently competing at the top week in and week out. is the goal.
My last question, and then I'll throw it to Josh if he has anything else. Do you have any like initial release discs coming out that it's like, here's the thing?
Yes, and I am super excited. It's I guess I can tell you because they'll probably be released by the time we release this, but it's a Rive, so it's going to be a Grand Orbit, I believe. I'm still learning the plastics, but it's a Grand Orbit Rive, and it's going to be this cool gold and black combo, and then this gold and white combo. And they really produce them the way that I would like them to be produced. They can make a disc however you describe it, and they'll make it. And so it's exactly how I wanted it to be, and I am stoked. It's going to be like a initial release run of Rives.
And it's like your logo stamp?
Yeah, it's going to be the IR logo. You know, it's going to have some words on it. I forget what they were, but it's going to be sick.
Very cool.
With those expectations for this season that you're describing and that consistency, you know, we obviously know about the relationship with the group of guys that were all on Prodigy, now not. Mm-hmm. Do you see Gannon as, you know, just a friend you're excited to compete against, or do you see Gannon as a rival that like Gannon's the guy I want to beat?
Yeah, Gannon, it's an interesting dynamic because he is a friend and he is a close friend. But also I think when we're on the course, he is a rival and he is the guy to beat. So I am looking to compete with him as best I can, and really just try to keep pushing him and really just trying to take away some of his wins this year.
Awesome.
I'm sure he trades some of those for that Worlds.
Yeah, we'll have to work out a deal or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you so much for making time for us, and congrats on the new deal, and looking forward to seeing you out on the course this year.
Sweet. Thank you, guys.
Isaac Robinson with us here on The Upshot. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Upshot. Great to talk with Isaac, as always. Very interesting to hear some specifics about the deal, why it made sense for him, and what he was looking for, right? Looking for around that 200K mark. And it sounds like getting that and more from Latitude. It feels like he was very realistic about what he was capable of getting in the marketplace in 2025. And is he underpaid relative to some of the other players at his caliber of play? Possibly.
I think more accurately is that relative to his caliber of play, other players are overpaid. And because of when he was doing contract negotiation, yeah, he came in at the bad time. But if you had, kind of excluded this COVID boom and kind of take that chunk out, like this is where I would expect top players not named Macbeth and Simon to be. This is, if you told me even, Calvin obviously has won a bunch of Elite Series, but if you told me Calvin was somewhere in the 200 to 300 range, royalties, whatever, that makes sense. The two-time world champion just coming off of another win. He's at 200,000. Okay, that those numbers are wanted 200,000. Like all those numbers make sense and really feel like where the market kind of belongs. So if there are players relative to Isaac's level who are being paid more, I think that's more of an overpayment by those companies rather than Isaac not getting a fair shake.
Yeah, that's a fair take. I mean, I don't know imagine if Macbeth or Simon was to get a deal now in this year, 2025. Obviously, we know there's a lot of data for them at this point, but do they get $1 million? Maybe Macbeth does. Does Simon?
I think they
does
both.
Anybody else even come close to that?
No. That's the thing is I think the gulf between Simon and Macbeth and everywhere everyone else should be is $500,000 at least.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
I don't think any player whether they signed last year, this year, if you are not Simon or Macbeth, I don't think any player should be eclipsing in total compensation $500,000.
Well, as noted, we did record this before Thursday. So if subsequent news has broken, we're going to be talking about it in Inside the Circle for our Ulti-World Disc Golf subscribers. If something feels like we need to have a pod about it versus waiting for next week. So if that is the case, catch us in the Discord. Go to discgolf.ultiworld.com/subscribe to join up, get all of our bonus segments, exclusive articles, and more. It's less than $4 a month. All right, Josh. Have a great weekend, my friend. We've still got a few things left to settle this offseason, but it's about to be time to just kind of hunker down and wait for the start of the season.
Yeah, I wish it was closer, that's for sure.
I know. All right, that's going to do it for today's Upshot. We'll talk to you next Tuesday. See you then.